We are focusing on our deep dive series right now. Real Scout is a really engaging platform to allow you to be able to take action, soft touches with your clients, whether it's in the form of property searches that becomes very detailed and customized to meet their needs, whether it's the home value alerts that we were recently given. It's really a really great tool to use from your desktop to your mobile device, but also in connection with your prospects, your contacts, and your clients, because they have their own user app that they can communicate with you, do some searches, check on things. That's all branded to you. So giving it more of a chance to work for you, you'll get to see the reward from it, and I will explain what happened to me with it so far. So the week one is the overview, and we had that last week. Today is contact management, and we asked for you to think, who do you know? That's going to be the big focus for today. We're going to go deeper on who do you know? And then contact management. Next week, I'm going to focus on C.O.R.E and taking your search alerts, bringing them to social media, sending them out in a postcard. We're going to get deep into sharing the platform, inviting people to join you in your branded platform. We're going to get deeper on the alerts in week 3 and 4. We're going to look at the engagement even beyond what we're going to teach you on Mondays. We're going to get deeper in here, really hone in on the clues that your contacts are giving you when they take action with the alerts that you set up. We're going to go deeper on that. And then week 5, there are all the other bonus features and functions, such as reverse prospecting. We're going to take a deeper look at that. We're going to take a deeper look on what to do with the test the market features, along with some other things. So each Monday is just going to take that topic and go a little deeper, such as this statement in the contact management area. You can't leverage the power of RealScout until you've actually entered in contacts into the system. It's not going to work. It's not going to work until you start building people in there with a purpose. People you're working with right now, it's not where I park all my contacts. That's my CRM. That is BHHS Connect. And when I say park all my contacts, think of if you are farming. If you took that list from Cole and it's a neighborhood, you may not get phone numbers and email addresses. You may not have them at the point where they want to connect with you by email just yet. That's what's good for a CRM. You can then make a note. I sent them a flyer. I sent out the annual back to school postcard. I sent out the announcement for the backpack challenge, right? You can make those notes inside there. In Connect this weekend, I took a look at it deeper in my database, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But when I did that, that's where I added tasks, need to follow up. I looked at anniversaries, home anniversaries, birthdays. I made notes and task reminders inside Connect for me to connect with people in August, in September, even in December, things to do. That's what I do inside my CRM. But in Real Scout is where I'm going to create soft touches that deliver value and that are not overly complicated. And we're going to go deeper into that, but it becomes the question on who do you know? Now, we, as homework from week 1, we simply asked for you to consider 15 contacts, 5 buyers, 5 sellers, 5 sphere, or any combination of that, just to get started with it. It's almost like if you've never used it before, starting from scratch. If maybe you used it a long time ago and you need to revisit and get charged up again and think of 15 new people, that's at the bare minimum going to give you a good start. But really, and ideally, you want to go deeper. Who do you know that could benefit from information that they may be searching for anyway? When I say searching for anyway, everybody will take a peek at their home value on Zillow. And when they go to Zillow and they they search their home address or their parents or their best friend or their cousin or their neighbor and they put in an address, it's branded to someone else at that point. They get to see someone else's name. They get the click through buttons to search somebody else's name and phone number and ask questions as to why the value is what it is or want to see a property. If they're going to do that anyway, why not have the opportunity to serve up Zillow to them? Okay, as an example. As an example for the market activity reports. Okay, curiosity, what's happening in your zip code. And they're not at a point where maybe they want to move, but maybe they want to know how home values are selling, what properties are coming up on the market near them. They see a sign in the front yard, they want a go-to spot to look it up. Why not have it branded to you? So I ask you, let's think about who else do you know? I did a whole session in here in Core one Monday morning, and it was all about the money is in your database. Tom Ferry says over and over again, the money is in your database. The dollars are in your database. The database is the key to your success. Harness the power of your database. Your next business is in your database. Mining the gold that is in your database. All of these wordy things that I have heard that these coaches, Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, Buffini, they're all talking about your database. And sometimes we put people in there and we just park them. But I think every now and then it's really important to go through, almost like a spring cleaning, go through the names again. And I did that this weekend. And when I say I did that this weekend, I had 18 unnurtured contacts in Connect. So, or sorry, in RealScout. So even as I'm teaching this, right, I am still thinking, who else do I know? And by the time I got done in that bucket, I had 32 new, 32 up to 32. So I had 14 more contacts that I added in just yesterday because I revisited every person that I had in my database and I went through and I really thought about it like these could be missed opportunities. And one of them that I added this weekend, pressed the button, added him to the home value alert. He tapped the request home value. Uh, what does it tap? It request home valuation or home comparables. I forget exactly what the button says, but he tapped it from his side as the consumer. And then the communication started happening. And he let me know last night when I sent him the comps, I went into his neighborhood in Bright and I pulled all the comparables and I then did a quick Moxie CRM, okay? And I sent him the link to look at it, and he looked at it, and the email reply was, I'm thinking of listing my house at the end of August or September. I hadn't talked to him. I I don't even know, I don't even remember where this lead came in, but I thought he's lived there long enough. It's probably somebody that I could just put on this alert and see what'll happen. And not only did I do that, but he took action with it right away. And by the way, he told me he's ready to list his home. And so just by going through every person in my CRM, going through that, I found 14 more contacts, one of which raised his hand to ask for comps. I delivered value, and then he delivered to me that he's thinking of listing. I could have missed that opportunity. But thanks to RealScout, that is now on my radar. I moved him from a cold, dead lead into a hot prospect right now. And that's how important it is to look at your database. So, giving some food for thought on the database. Wait, let me go back to this who do you know? So, did anybody watch on Friday? Jimmy Burgess is doing, it seems like every Friday now, this past Friday was his second one. He is doing like this coaching, this 1 hour power session on giving us ideas. And this past Friday, he interviewed Jimmy Mackin. And Jimmy Mackin also said that those agents who were listening then and were there watching that webinar was because they care and because they care about their business. So if you're attending RealScout and you're making the commitment to get to know RealScout better, then making a bigger commitment and go deeper into your database and see who else you can find that would benefit from an alert that you could set them up on. So it just is a matter of thinking about your database a little deeper. So who else and how can you think about that deeper? Wake up the dead. I just told you about this guy, John, a dead cold lead that I just took a moment and said, let me set him up on the home value alert. Instantly responded, tap the button. Dead cold lead. Go and look and see, who did you collect a lead from? Did you collect it from, I don't know, soliciting it from Zillow or Realtor.com? Did you buy an ad on Facebook where someone entered into your database because they clicked a link? Any paid sources, any advertising that you did? How about open house sign-in sheets? Right? Some of those leads can go dead. You never know who's going to raise their hand. So look at those that you've entered into your database but haven't given much thought because they didn't engage with you. But maybe they'll engage with this. Think of your past clients. I went through the database and I thought, 5 or more years that have lived there. Should I put them up on a home value alert that I haven't done so yet? Friends that I had in there. Sometimes people say if they're new and they don't have enough in their database, but boy, they've got a lot of robust friends on Facebook, right? And maybe with Facebook, if any of those are in close proximity to you, maybe you could find out, would they benefit from knowing what their home value is? Anyone who's basically said, I'll call you when I'm ready, giving them the leverage of saying, I'll call you, but maybe they really want to know what Zillow's going to say. And like I said, bring Zillow to them, even if you think the number's way off. It's not your number. It's not your algorithm. It is where they're going to find it anyway. Let them ask you the question, why does it say that? Then come back with what Realtor.com says. And then come back with home valuation, what that comes, Quantarium, right? Black Knight, ePraisal, Redfin, Homes.com. Show them all. Say, you know what they all have in common? Not one of them stepped foot in your door, right? Do the comps like I did. The guy asked for the comps. I sent him the comps, replied back, I think I want to sell at the end of August, September. If they said to you, I'll call you when I'm ready, it could be too late before you find out that they're ready. So think about those people who could benefit from a search alert. In the growth series that we ran earlier this year, we talked about, in my session, we talked about life events, life's turning points. We thought of the 5 Ds, right? Death, divorce, debt, diapers, diplomas. All of those trigger an event where their home isn't serving them. That doesn't, the need has changed. Stress, marriage, divorce, money issues, losing someone. The need, they all have one thing in common, timing. And it's hard to gauge the timing unless you're staying top of mind when they need a realtor. Are you there and have you been in front of them? When they need help, they don't necessarily give you a lot of notice. And so thinking of anybody you can pick clues up from social media. Graduations just happened, right? But maybe they're planting the seed that, oh, I just want one more Christmas in this house. So then consider them setting them up on searches for what's happening just in their neighborhood, right? What's happening around them, because maybe next spring will be the time of year. So consider what's happening with thinking of those 5 Ds in mind, okay? And then we had the Larry Live with 5 with Jimmy Mackin. We had the silver tsunami. Now that is actually a real topic. And that was a very good series to watch. If you can't find the recording, you could ask the education at foxroach.com department to send you the link. But if you're like me, I'll show you where you can find another version of that. But the silver tsunami is actually a real thing. It's a significant demographic that is a shift caused by the aging baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964. Okay. That demographic is having changes in healthcare, in economic implications, right? Housing market. The housing market is also affected by baby boomers because they may downsize. That's another D. Downsizers or move to retirement communities, creating opportunities and challenges for developers. So it's a real thing. And if you wanted to watch another similar Jimmy Mackin Silver Tsunami strategy, if you're like me and I'm like an email hoarder, Tuesday, May 6th of this year, 2:29 p.m., go back and look through your emails. Real Scout actually had a very similar interview with Jimmy Mackin, but all focused around Real Scout. Using Real Scout and the Silver Tsunami strategy and how that can help you. I watched this one as well back in May, and I thought, I'm going to save that because that is also another interesting twist to watch. So it's a real topic. Some of the facts that he gave in that session were 6% of homeowners over the age of 60 are planning on selling their home in 2025. Do you remember when, if you've come into these classes and we've talked about C.O.R.E, Realty Resource, and you can actually filter inside C.O.R.E the age of the homeowner? You could find the homeowners within a zip code, a township, a school district, a neighborhood, a street, and find those that are over 60 years old. Where that fact was pulled from was a Bright MLS blog. And what about those boomers? According to the survey, only about 6% of homeowners age 60 or older said they were planning to sell their home in 2025. That blog had more information in there, but that's where he pulled it from. So he also said this represents 53% of all projected sales over the next 9 months and likely beyond that. The marketing strategy behind that is they are all asset rich right now. All of those baby boomers, they are cash flow concerned though, keeping the home going, keeping the maintenance, the higher expenses for the landscapers because they can't do it themselves maybe anymore, or they have another home in Florida and keeping two households going. So they're looking at the cash flow to keep an asset that maybe not serving them anymore. So they have the benefit of equity, but they don't project keeping that household going, and they want to make sure that they don't outlive their retirement benefits. So thinking and why they're going to do this, it's not what to do. It's not use these phrases like now's a great time to sell. Don't wait. Things are moving quickly. Aggressive pushy marketing. Real Scout gives you the opportunity to do soft touches. Soft touches, just here's your home value. Here's what's happening in your neighborhood. That's it. You don't have to get fancy and wordy and little aggressive wording, shouty capital letters, just soft touches. Real Scout gives you the opportunity to do that because not only can you set it up with an alert, but you could set that timing up not to go every month, maybe to go every quarter, maybe to go biannually, right? Top of mind, couple times a year. You don't have to do it every month unless you think that's what they need to see right now. So create your strategy. And with that, try to really think now, Who else do you know? Even if that means going through your database again and looking at each one, clicking through. I have 2,000 plus contacts in my CRM, but in RealScout, I have about now 32 plus 116, so 150, 148, something like that right now. Actually, and then I have another 26 archived. Archived are not deleted, archived are paused. Who would I pause? A buyer who just settled in June. They no longer need a property search. They do not need to know what Zillow's saying what their house is worth because they just paid for it and they know that that's what it is. They don't need to know what's happening in the market because they're getting settled, they're moving in. But maybe in a year or two, I'll start dripping something to them. So it's a pause, it's not a goodbye, they're archived, right? So I have less than 200 in there in RealScout because those are my intentional, gentle, soft trips with value. Our company is giving us up to 300 at any given time. So if I am building up my list of who would benefit inside RealScout, and if I get to 300 and my two settlements in August, now they're on property searches right now, when they're done and they settle in August, I will archive them. Now I've got two more so that you can stay under that 300 number as long as you're keeping track of who would benefit right now and who needs a pause. And then it's free. Okay. But if you're a team or if you really want to go deeper with more people, you can add more people for an additional cost. You can go over that number. And there's the space to do that. But I am right now 116 on alerts, and I just thought of 14 more. So I'm gonna have, up to 140 soon, right? And I'm gonna keep thinking who else could benefit. And with our deep dive series, if you're in the office and you have a crowd and you have good energy happening around you, remember what I tell people in social media, don't be a secret agent. Share what you're doing right now, working together, learning something to benefit others. Take pictures of what you're doing together. Put that on your social media. Share it, hashtag FR Education, your Real Scout, right? You're working behind the scenes. Don't be a secret agent. Share what you're doing in person in a group with our brokerage in RealScout. And that's it. That's all I wanted to share to expand further on what we talked about on Monday. And then next week, we're going to go even deeper. We're going to take the social media links and we're going to try and prospect for new leads out of those wherever we can share those spaces, all the ideas that we can come up with. So, does anybody have any Real Scout questions? I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.